Lalo, THR here. What's going down, everybody? I hope you're doing fantastic. This is a late night episode here. I'm recording at it precisely 11:38 p.m. here in sunny SoCal. I just finished watching AEW Double or Nothing 2023 in its entirety, and you're going to listen to me reacting to each match. I recorded my instant reaction upon viewing each segment of the show, and you guys are going to notice that in the beginning, I'm pretty sour, okay? I'm going to be very, very whiny, very complainy. I nitpick a lot. So I'm just giving you the heads up because I'm an AEW loyal. I love AEW. I want to see this company thrive, survive, and do what it do. I want to see this. I'm trying to be Max Caster right now. I want to see this company do big things, man. And the first half of this pay-per-view was not very good. And that's being very nice. That's being generous. Not a very good show in the beginning. But there are three matches in particular that really upped this pay-per-view back up to AEW standards. And you'll know exactly what matches those are when I get into it. Guys, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Lalo_THR. I got to get back on Twitter, though. I haven't been tweeting nothing or replying to anything. I got to be more active. But you guys can follow me there as well as on YouTube at Lalo_THR. Or you could just type in the highlight reel, THA, highlight reel. This is an audio only podcast, but in the YouTube portion, it's submitted as a video where you can make comments. Feel free to give me any criticism, suggestions, whatever you want to say. Make your voice be heard. I do believe in freedom of speech. I don't necessarily believe in hate speech though, but hey, if you wanna give me some hate, go ahead. This is an audio only podcast, like I mentioned, so this is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and in most places where you find your favorite podcasts. This is the highlight reel. And again, Lalo_THR. That's LALO_THR. That's where you'll find me. Instagram, Twitter. I don't have a Facebook. Probably never will have a Facebook again. That's just the way the old mob flops. I'm not down with Facebook like that. But same thing with TikTok. Same thing with TikTok. I do not have a TikTok. Never had one, and don't think I ever will have one. But you can find me on all the platforms that I mentioned. I hope you guys had a fantastic day and are having a fantastic night. Wherever you may be listening, just know I greatly appreciate you. So enjoy the show, guys, and let's do what it do. AEW Double or Nothing live from Las Vegas, Nevada. The show popped off with Orange Cassidy defending the International Championship in the 21-man Blackjack Battle Royale for the strap. And let me just say, before I even get into the match itself, when did Orange Cassidy become the main character for AEW? Like, this guy is the face of the company right now. This guy is being booked like, Roman Reigns, mid 2000s John Cena. I mean, when did this happen? And this is something that I failed to talk about, but it has been on my mind because for the past several weeks, it feels like for the past several months, really, it seems like Orange Cassidy has been front and center, man. If he's not opening up the show, defending his championship, then he's on the card somewhere defending it and winning clean over some major hosses as well. And my question is the purpose of Orange Cassidy being pushed like this, is it because he is going to be the guy that feuds with MJF next? Because if that's the case, then I could see why he's receiving the push of a lifetime, only if he's next in line to try to become a dual championship holder and face off against MJF, because otherwise I do not understand Tony Khan's boner for Orange Cassidy. I'm just going to put it like that, because this dude, and I respect Orange Cassidy. I'm actually one of the few people that have defended him in the past and have said, I respect this guy because despite his goofy gimmick, he can go, man. He's a real athlete, this guy. He's a real athlete, and he's good at what he does. People have given him a lot of shit over the years for his goofy gimmick, but the guy can go. So I respect him in that regard. But should he be, destroying everybody, defending the title? I mean, overcoming 21, or 20 other superstars, 20 other AEW performers to retain his championship? I don't think so. I don't think that's the right call. I really feel like this match should have been where Orange Cassidy dropped the title. It makes sense. Because one man, beating 20 other guys in a battle royal is ridiculous. It would be ridiculous for a big monster like Brian Cage, even, let alone someone like Orange Cassidy, who, like I said, is a great athlete, but he's not a giant. He's not a Roman Reigns type of cat. You know what I mean? Come on, his gimmick is that of a slacker. And, yeah, like I said, the only way this makes sense to me is if he's being primed for a big program with MJF in the not too distant future. I mean, people are already questioning what's the next move for MJF. We'll get to that in later on, but again, man, big takeaway for this bout. Swerve Strickland, he better be the anointed one though. After this, he should feud with Orange Cassidy, and he should be the one to take the title off of him, and he should have a major push, overcoming odds and stuff in a heel fashion. Being that rude and crude heel, man, that everybody wants to see lose and doesn't. Holds on to that title for a minute. Me personally, I think a better candidate though to take the title off Orange Cassidy in this battle royal would have been Roosh, and Roosh wasn't even in it. At least I don't remember seeing him in it if he was. But Roosh beat the brakes off of Jungle Boy, who was in the co-main event of tonight's show. Oh, well, last night's show rather. But yeah, man, Roosh, I think this would have been perfect for him. Imagine if Orange Cassidy overcame the odds, eliminating, the other participants, and the last guy he had to face off with was Roosh, coming off of that crazy beatdown, beating down Jungle Boy. It would have heightened the tension. And then when Roosh captures the international strap by beating the brakes off of Orange Cassidy in this match, I think that would make sense. But it didn't happen. Instead, Orange Cassidy beats everybody. But Swerve Strickland had a standout performance. And pretty much his whole program with Keith Lee was the only story of this match, really. Besides, the best friends coming in clutch for Orange Cassidy throughout the match. Big Bill. Big Bill W. Morrissey. I don't know who came up with the name Big Bill. But this guy, if he could get a job, I should get a job, man. Because I don't know who came up with Big Bill. But that's not working for me, brother. W. Morrissey. He had a nice performance as well. He looked fantastic in this match. He looked very imposing and looked like a candidate to win the whole thing, but it didn't happen as well. Nonetheless, Orange Cassidy retains the International Championship, and it remains to be seen where he goes from here. I'll just reiterate one last time. I really think the only way all of this makes sense is if Orange Cassidy is being primed for MJF. You know what I mean? But otherwise, none of this makes sense, man. For him to be destroying everybody like this, and coming out unscathed. You know what I mean? He had supposedly injured his hand. He didn't sell it. He retained the title and didn't sell his alleged injury to his hand. I don't know. Those are just some observations of mine. Let's move on to the next match. Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho in an unsanctioned match. Let me just say something real quick. Almost 2 years ago now, during the labors of Jericho's storyline, Chris Jericho, MJF, back when Jericho was working babyface, during his Inner Circle days. that match against MJF, if Jericho loses, he would have to end his career. He would have to retire. Now, I got into it with a friend of mine because I thought it was perfect. I thought Jericho should have been retired then. And the main reason is because I don't want to see Jericho end up tarnishing his legacy. Kind of like Undertaker. You know, Undertaker, as respected as he is, he tarnished his legacy in the later stages of his career. And that's that. I don't want to see that happen to Jericho. My friend, of course, disagreed. He told me, hey, Jericho, he's still got what it takes. He's shown that. He's proven that. He's still performing at a high level. He should have at least another good 2-year run before hanging him up, blah, blah, blah. But this match here, fast forward to 2023, this match here with Jericho and Adam Cole in the unsanctioned bout, this match perfectly exhibits why I wanted Jericho to retire those year and a half ago, whatever it was, against MJF. This is what I don't want to see from Jericho. I don't want him to tarnish his legacy. And you know, I'm not just talking about this match specifically either. This match is a perfect example of why I wanted him to retire 2 years ago. But also just the overall booking of Jericho lately with the whole JAS stuff, which I gotta be honest, guys, the JAS faction, it hasn't really taken off for me. It really hasn't. I've tried to like them. I've tried to get into them. They're doing nothing with Daddy Magic. That dude is a meme machine. They should be pushing 2.0 in the tag division. Matt Menard and the other cat, short-haired dude. They should be getting pushed right now in the tag team division. They're wasting them away, especially Daddy Magic. That dude is incredible, man. He is hilarious. He is a walking, living, breathing meme, bro. And AEW is doing nothing with them. They're squandering away just doing ads for DraftKings or whatever. And it's nonsense. These guys instead should be close to challenging for the tag straps instead of Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And I like Jeff Jarrett. I'm actually one of the few people who have defended him, in his debut in AEW and everything. I think Jeff Jarrett's a real OG. He's a hustler and a veteran, and he can really help elevate AEW in a lot of ways. But wrestling is not really one of them, although I don't mind seeing him. But the fact that in 2023, when AEW's tag team division was the hottest tag team division on the entire planet just a year ago or so, and in 2023 we're defending the tag straps to Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal with Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh in tow, that is something I cannot understand. And the JAS, it has served no real purpose. All it's doing is they're just recycling matches and recycling storylines, angles between JAS, Jericho, and other people that he feuds with, like Ricky Starks and whoever else. They just recycle stuff. And I really feel like Jericho is beginning to tarnish his legacy with stuff like this. This match was not good at all, guys. Chris Jericho and Adam Cole was not good. There was a spot in the match where Adam Cole got a big old fire extinguisher when Jericho had him in the walls. And the spot called for Adam Cole, obviously, it called for him to ignite the fire extinguisher into Jericho's face. But he couldn't get his hand around the trigger to the fire extinguisher. And there was a moment where Jericho was literally staring at the fire extinguisher valve. Just staring at it, waiting to get sprayed with that shit. That must have lasted at least a minute and a half. It was so ridiculous. It wasn't a good match. It really wasn't a very good match. And the way it ended, it deflated the crowd completely. I've been hearing people complain about the crowd in this pay-per-view. And, for me, it's one of those things where you can't really blame the crowd if they're not getting anything to get hyped over. You see what I'm saying? The crowd actually hasn't even been that bad. Full transparency, I'm actually watching the show barely 2 days removed from the pay-per-view, and I'm reacting to each match. So I haven't actually finished watching the pay-per-view yet as I'm recording this segment right here. But I can tell you right off the bat that the crowd has not been that bad from what I've heard thus far. And the way Jericho Adam Cole ended, though, it's going to deflate any crowd. I don't care where they're at. Las Vegas, they could be in Chicago for all I care. Any ending, any city they're in, if a match ends like that abruptly, it's gonna and it didn't even look good. Like Adam Cole was just throwing these fake ass punches at Jericho. They did not look realistic at all. That did not look like a man who was enraged, wanting to kill this guy. They didn't look like that. Jericho had a little cut under his eye, and that was enough for Aubrey Edwards to ring the bell. And meanwhile, we've had guys go through fucking barbed wire. We've had guys literally go through shattered glass. I think we're gonna see that actually later on in this same show. I already know the results, guys, but I'm reacting to all this live in full effect. But come on, man. We've seen guys absolutely mutilated. Jon Moxley has mutilated himself on live TV and right in front of the camera. But you mean to tell me a little ass cut underneath Chris Jericho's eye while Adam Cole throws the fakest looking punches I ever seen, that's enough for the referee to wave the match off. Technical knockout. That is ridiculous. And this is not what I want to see from Le Champion, the all-time great Jericho. This is not what I want to see from him. And it looks like this feud is gonna continue. And I gotta be honest. I give zero fucks about this program. I kind of cared about it in the beginning just because this program right here, Jericho Adam Cole, it felt very reminiscent of Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels back in the day. Because it's a similar story. For those of you that don't know, Jericho idolized Shawn Michaels growing up. He tried to mimic him in the ring. And Adam Cole also did the same, but to Jericho. Adam Cole idolized Jericho. That his whole Adam Cole baby shtick, guess what? He got that from Chris Jericho. You know what I mean? Jericho used to say baby and this and that. Adam Cole told him to in Jericho's podcast that he got that whole catchphrase from Chris Jericho. So they could have used that as a play on this rivalry instead of throwing Britt Baker in there, as she gets hit with kendo sticks by the Outcast, and then they release a stupid ass t-shirt of Britt Baker with a black eye, just her face on a t-shirt with a black. Who would wear that t-shirt? That's what I want to know. But anyway, there's a lot of things they could have done with this rivalry. I had interest in it because it felt very reminiscent of Chris Jericho versus HBK. And they could have really elevated Adam Cole as AEW's version of HBK using this match. This was the perfect platform. And instead, they've created a really stupid, combobulated storyline with Britt Baker in the mix. And the Outcasts and the JAS, and then you have this stupid, sloppy, horrendous match here. This is not what I want to see from neither Chris Jericho or Adam Cole, but especially Jericho, man. This guy is a world-class professional wrestler. He was, but I'm beginning to see him tarnish his legacy with the booking that he's been doing with his own character. We all know Jericho has creative control over his character. His ideas, you best believe his ideas are very much so heard by Mr. TK. And this is not what I want to see. And it looks like I'm going to have to continue to watch it because it's going to continue. Adam Cole, Jericho. Adam Cole wins the bout via stoppage from Aubrey Edwards. A terrible finish. And not a very good match overall. Not a very good match. Just a lot of props, kendo sticks, fire extinguishers, and Britt Baker made a cameo appearance. Saraya made a cameo appearance, and it just not good, man. Not good. Let's move on to the next one. I gotta tell you, man, so far, not very good. Not very good. And I know, AEW fans, I'm an AEW fan, but I can take constructive criticism. But a lot of AEW fans cannot accept any criticism towards AEW. But I gotta be honest, man, this pay-per-view thus far, I'm 3 matches in already. I'm going into the third match, the fourth match of the night here. And I just finished watching FTR defend the tag team titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And I'm going to sound like I'm just whining and complaining and nitpicking everything. And I hate that. I hate that I sound like this. I really do. But I'm just keeping it real. This pay-per-view has been not very good thus far. This match was an overbooked, unnecessary mess of a match. We're talking about, Sanjay Dutt shenanigans, referee bump with guest referee Mark Briscoe, who is absolutely being used terribly here. Coming off the heels of Jay Briscoe's passing, Mark Briscoe should have been one of the top pushed guys in the whole company. Instead, they have him mixed up in this garbage with Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and FTR. And I get it. He has a history with these cats, especially Jay Lethal. I get that. That's his bro and everything. But they could do better with Mark Briscoe, bro. He should be the ROH champ right now, at least. Something. They could do way better with Mark Briscoe. They have him in this garbage. He takes a ref bump. Aubrey Edwards comes out like a moron. She also takes a bump. She gets a guitar shot to the head. And why do we care? Why is anybody gonna care about Aubrey Edwards taking a shot to the head by a guitar? Like that, was that supposed to make us gasp? Was that supposed to make us go, oh, holy shit? Was that a holy shit chant moment? No, it was not. Nobody cares about Aubrey Edwards. Jesus Christ, man. This match, I don't know why AEW insists on overbooking matches, man. Like, why couldn't we see Chris Jericho and Adam Cole in a regular singles match? Why couldn't we see FTR against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal in a regular tag team match with no shenanigans? Just a regular match. Instead, we have to overbook everything. Everything. It has to be overbooked. It has to be, props galore, ref bumps, run-ins, shenanigans. Abysmal is the only word I could think of. And FTR retained the titles, of course, because anybody actually thought Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal were going to win the tag team titles. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I don't even know what to tell myself right now. Because I just sound like I'm a AEW hater, complaining and whining and bitching and moaning. But I'm not. Believe me, I love AEW. But this pay-per-view has been pretty bad, man. I gotta be honest. This pay-per-view has been pretty bad thus far. So that's all I gotta say about that. FTR, hopefully they move on and they bring some prestige back to the tag team titles, which have seemingly taken a back seat to the trios titles, it seems like. AEW had one of the hottest tag team divisions in the whole world, man. Not too long ago. They gave the Acclaimed a big push after they fucked up, and the Acclaimed got the pop of a lifetime. They were as hot as ever, and then they put the straps on them after they had lost at the pay-per-view, and then they dropped the titles to the Gun Club, which was the most random ever moment right there in the tag division for the Gun Club to suddenly become the tag team champs. And we didn't even get to see Daddy Ass turn on the Acclaim and join his sons, the Gun Club, which that would have made sense. It's logical. It's logic. You know, I don't know, bro. I don't know what to say anymore. Yeah, hopefully the FTR, man, they keep grinding and they bring some level of prestige back to those titles. Hopefully the Acclaimed also bounce back. I really kind of think at this point maybe they should split and Max Caster should go solo dolo, because that guy right there, you know, he has a lot of charisma. He's not too shabby in the ring. He's getting better. Let's just say that. Anthony Bowens as well. Anthony Bowens could be the utility guy, man, because he's a good worker to a degree. He can be the guy, like, you know, that can put over other guys and also get some notable wins when need be. He could be the utility guy, and Max Caster should really get a nice push as a solo performer if he's ready, assuming he's ready. I mean, if he's not ready, why did y'all even put the tag straps on him then with Anthony Bowens? I don't know what this company is doing, bro. I don't know what Tony Khan is doing. But yeah, FTR go over. What in the world is Karen Jarrett doing in AEW, by the way? Who asked for this? Because it sure as hell wasn't me. Let's move on to the next match. And the overbooking continues with Wardlow defending his TNT strap against Christian in a ladder match. Because why not? Christian was known as a ladder match guy like 2 decades ago. I was going to say 10 years ago, more like 20 years ago. So fuck it. Let's book them in a ladder match, because why not? You know, let's just overbook the shit out of Double or Nothing. Arn Anderson. Let me just say this. I like Arn Anderson. I have a lot of respect for his contributions to this business in and out of the ring. 4 Horsemen, one of the best spine busters of all time. But he has no business being on camera. And I feel like the pairing of Arn Anderson and Wardlow was just Tony Khan being a mark and wanting Arn Anderson to be on camera in some capacity. So he put him together with Wardlow. This isn't to help Wardlow in any way, because it doesn't. It doesn't help Wardlow in any way. It's not going to help him improve his mic skills or his presentation. It's doing no service to Wardlow whatsoever. This is just Tony Khan wanting Arn Anderson to be on TV. And with Cody Rhodes out of the picture, the next best bet was Wardlow, because why not? Arn Anderson bit the finger. This sounds funny. This even sounds ridiculous. Me saying this. Arn Anderson bit the finger of Luchasaurus, and they put on some kind of prosthetic with blood, looked like gore. You know, like if he bit his finger off. And Arn Anderson continued the rest of the match with a bloody mouth. It looked absolutely ridiculous. This was reminiscent to me of back in the day when Dustin Rhodes had a match with Malachi Black. This was like when Malachi Black first debuted. I'll never forget it. Malachi Black did his Sin Eater roundhouse kick finishing move, and he didn't even connect the kick on Dustin Rhodes. It literally grazed his shoulder. But the camera cut away, and when it cut back onto Dustin was pouring out blood from his mouth. And we clearly seen in the camera on TV that Malachi Black did not connect that kick to Dustin Rhodes' mouth. It hit his shoulder. It grazed his shoulder. That's what this reminded me of. Just utterly ridiculous. Arn Anderson biting the quote-unquote finger off of Luchasaurus, it looked like. I don't know what the point of this story is. I don't know what is this going to lead to. Luchasaurus, I mean, what is this? What is this? It's like a cartoon, bro. Like I'm watching an anime. This ain't even wrestling anymore. Wardlow wins. He does a swanton bomb off of the ladder onto a table, because why not? You know, he is a noted Jeff Hardy fan, so I'll give them respect on that, I guess. Wardlow should not be jumping off of the rope. Certainly not a ladder, let alone. But it is what it is. This is AEW's forte. Just illogical stuff, man. Wardlow retains the TNT strap, and on to the next one. Hopefully, he can bring some prestige back to the TNT title, if that's even possible at this point. I want to say this before I move on to the next match. Christian Cage has been doing some of the best work of his entire career as a mouthpiece, as a talker. And I could totally see him in a managerial role whenever he officially retires from in-ring work. He is absolutely terrific. Terrific. I don't even use that word. That just came out. That's the best thing I could think of to describe Christian. He is terrific. It's tremendous. Let's move on to the next. This pay-per-view has been trash so far, guys. I gotta be honest. Alright, so I just got done watching the Women's Championship match between Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm, the challenger. Right now, as I'm recording, House of Black are making their way to the ring, and Julia Hart looks like she's wearing a sombrero. I feel like tapping out, guys. I feel like tapping out, man. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this pay-per-view. I didn't even spend money on this pay-per-view, and I'm upset. Like, I want a refund, and I didn't even buy this pay-per-view. I'm just watching it, and I don't know what to say. Jamie Hayter drops the title just like that to Toni Storm. Of course, there were shenanigans with the Outcast beating down Jamie Hayter. Britt Baker, ran them off, but to no avail. Jamie Hayter working over some kind of injury. Apparently, there is a legit injury to Jamie Hayter, I heard. I actually did see a report that Jamie Hayter is legitimately injured. So this was a last call kind of deal to have her drop the title to Toni Storm because of said injury. But yeah. Poor finish. Jamie Hayter runs into the turnbuckle, just smashes her own face into the turnbuckle, and Toni Storm hits the pile driver. I think they call it Storm Zero for the pinfall victory. Toni Storm, now two-time AEW Women's Champion. Two-time. And she's only been with the company maybe 1 year at the very most. I don't even think it's been a year yet that Toni Storm has been with this company. Let's move on to the next match. I might tap out, guys. I don't know how much longer I could take of this. Let me tell you. So thus far, Max Caster's rap, his little freestyle rap during his entrance, not really a freestyle. He writes that shit beforehand. But the supposed freestyle rap that he does when he makes his entrance, that has been the highlight of this whole show so far. A fucking rap. From Max Caster has been the best part of Double or Nothing so far, from everything that I've watched. And also thus far, I'll say that the House of Black Trios match for the Trios titles against the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass has been the only match thus far that's actually felt like a match, like a wrestling match. No shenanigans, no run-ins, no props, no overbooking, just a fucking match, with guys working in the ring, getting their shit in, and getting to a climax in Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, all in the ring, all using physicality, facial expressions. And this is a match. And the House of Black retain, and they're showing why they are all very talented guys who should be booked very strong. At least when they're on TV, whenever they're on TV, they should be booked strong. I do want to say, I think beginning since like 2 Dynamites ago, or maybe 3 Dynamites ago, let's just say at the beginning of this month, they started doing this weird thing with the lights in the crowd whenever House of Black wrestle. It's very reminiscent of like The Fiend. Whenever he wrestled, he had special lighting, that red light of doom. And I thought this was really cool in the beginning when I first seen it initially, but this is gonna get annoying to me. Like if I'm constantly seeing something, even though it's cool, if I'm constantly seeing it, it's out of the norm, I'm not gonna enjoy it for much longer. I think they should do away with that. And maybe have those lights on only for pay-per-views or for big matches, maybe like when the titles are on the line. But every single time House of Black wrestle, they shouldn't have those lights on. in the crowd. Looks like I can't even describe it. Like a lava lamp in the crowd, but with black and white. It's a nuisance to my eyes. And I hate that I'm nitpicking. I know I've just been complaining nonstop. This is the first time, I think, in the history of this podcast that I've been covering AEW, dating all the way back to Full Gear 2019. This is the first time where I'm just complaining nonstop throughout an entire show. You know what I mean? AEW, usually their pay-per-views are fire. But thus far, this pay-per-view has not been very enjoyable to me, obviously, if you can't tell by now. The House of Black, hopefully, they add prestige to the trios titles. I don't know what else to say. We'll see who else they got in line for the trio straps. In the meantime, the Acclaimed, as I mentioned before, I already said it. I don't know if maybe we're due for a split here between Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Daddy Ass, I like Billy Gunn, man. I like seeing him on TV too. Completely different from like Arn Anderson or Jeff Jarrett, to a much lesser extent, Jeff Jarrett. But Billy Gunn, I actually like seeing him on TV. The dude is jacked. The dude is like probably one of the best physical specimens in all of AEW, and he's like in his late 50s, which is tremendous. But he should not be with the Acclaimed. He should be with his sons, man, with the Gun Club. That's the only thing that makes sense to me as far as Daddy Ass is concerned. And the Acclaimed should go their own way, man. That split should have happened. In an alternate timeline, Billy Gunn is with the Guns, with the Gun Club, and he's elevating his own sons, and the Acclaimed are still in the tag division and doing their thing. And yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about that. I hope the Acclaim can somehow bounce back, though. They were like the hottest thing a few months ago, man. And now they're a complete afterthought. Now they're in trios matches with Daddy Ass. It's just crazy, man. I don't know where they go from here. Only time will tell. But let's move on to the next match. A new era has begun in AEW because, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time since the inception of the TBS Championship, it has changed hands and we have a new TBS champion, Chris Statlander. And this was a open challenge type of deal. But before I even get into that, let me just acknowledge Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie. They put on the best match of the night so far. And I cannot believe I just uttered those words. Ladies and gentlemen, Jade Cargill had the best match of the night thus far on an AEW pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, with Taya Valkyrie, La Güera Loca. And this is their apology. This is their redemption for their terrible match that they had on Rampage a few weeks ago, when Jade Cargill won with a real sloppy-looking roll-up. Taya Valkyrie just bent down and got lazily rolled up for the win. This was their redemption for that debacle. And they did a damn good job. My hat is off to them. I am so proud of Jade Cargill, bro. Because she's improved. And she's been booked strong. And she just lost the TBS title and elevated somebody else. And in good fashion. This is the best match of the night thus far for me. And the best moment. Chris Statlander comes out after an impromptu open challenge. They didn't actually, say, oh, we challenge anybody to come out. No, Mark Sterling just said, oh, she's willing to defend the title anywhere, anytime, but there's nobody left. And then out comes Chris Statlander and a wild referee appears out of nowhere. That's my only nitpick, actually, as I would have wanted them to at least actually set a challenge. Like, hey, Jade Cargill, yeah, she just overcame Taya Valkyrie. Who's next? We want another match. Any jabronet in the back want to come out and try to contest for the strap? Come on down. No, they didn't do that. But still, I'm not going to take nothing away, though. It was a nice moment. Chris Statlander looks tremendous. Let me tell you right now, Chris Statlander looks fantastic, man. Great shape, better than ever. I'm glad she dropped the alien gimmick, although I know that's been a thing that ended already a long time ago. I know, but I'm just saying. Generally speaking, I'm glad she dropped the alien gimmick. Now we just need Orange Cassidy to drop that slacker gimmick and get more serious too. I mean, he's already being booked seriously. Like he's a world beater here, a world beater here who has a stronger Superman punch than Roman Reigns. He could probably beat John Cena. In Tony Khan's world, anyway, Orange Cassidy could beat John Cena and Roman Reigns in a handicap match. Bro, in Tony Khan's universe, Orange Cassidy could beat John Cena, Roman Reigns, Hulk Hogan, Prime Hogan from the 80s, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Undertaker in a 5-on-1 handicap match. Anyway, big ups to Jade Cargill, Taya Valkyrie, and of course, the new TBS champion, Chris Statlander. And I'm actually excited now. I'm actually excited not just for the TBS championship and what Chris Statlander could do with it and the different opponents she could have, but I'm excited for the women's division in general because I can't help but think what's next for Jade Cargill now, as well as Taya Valkyrie for that matter. I think, I still think my idea of Jade Cargill joining the AEW Originals, I think that's a great idea, honestly. Assuming that continues on to be a thing. I mean, Jamie Hayter is out with injury right now. Slot Jade Cargill into that shit. Have her do a crazy face turn. But I don't know what's next. I'm hearing reports or rumors, I should say, that Jade Cargill wants to take time off. And more power to her. I think she deserves the time off. She's been putting in work herself. She's like the Orange Cassidy of the women's division, basically. She's not as good of a worker as Orange Cassidy. I'll say that. But yeah, man, I think Jade Cargill needs to be more appreciated. I really do. I'm high on Jade Cargill, bro. She's money to me. I think she could be special in the women's division. But I've lacked confidence now for a while in AEW's capabilities to develop stars and produce moments like that, where someone like a Jade Cargill could be elevated to a whole nother level and carry a whole division on her back. So right now, I'm actually surprised because as I'm recording this, it looks like the Four Pillars 4-Way Championship bout is next. Why is this not the main event? That, when you book a World Championship match, the main title of your company, when you book that, and it's not the main event, it's like in the middle of the card or the co-main event, you're just basically, spoiler alert, you're pretty much telling everybody, yeah, the title's not going to change hands, so we're not going to close the show with this match. And that's terrible, because everybody knows that these days, you know what I mean? Everybody's privy to this kind of stuff. So even if the champion is going to retain, a championship match, it should always be the main event. Especially when you have the champion the caliber of MJF. He should always main event, bro. Not co-main event, not be in the middle of the card. If you're going to put your world champion on the card and he's not going to close the show, then he should open the show. He should open it. Every wrestler will tell you that the best spot to be is either in the main event or opening the show. In fact, a lot of wrestlers prefer to curtain jerk, basically, to open the show because that's when the crowd is at their fever pitch. I mean, it makes sense. So I'm confused why the Four Pillars match is actually happening right now. The guys are making their entrances. So I'm going to go ahead and scout this match, and I'm going to come back with the review. So let's go ahead and get it popping, guys. I'll see you in the next review, the next match. And still, the AEW World Champ, MJF. And I gotta say, I'm just going to come right out and say it, man. If MJF was not here right now in AEW would be suffering. They'd be suffering worse than they are without CM Punk right now. If MJF wasn't here. MJF is really, truly the real MVP of AEW right now. These are the type of matches that can make a pay-per-view worth watching in spite of it being lackluster, mediocre, underwhelming in the first half. And it's a shame that this is the co-main event. This should have closed, more of a reason to close the show because they put on a classic, man. A classic, an absolute classic four-way bout. You know, four-way matches, they're trash, bro. They're not even good matches. When's the last time you seen a four-way match and we're like, oh man, that's a match of the year candidate? It's never happened. Four-way matches, they're very, very skippable matches. But this is the type of match that I would run it back. Like I actually might go out and purchase AEW Double or Nothing 2023 on DVD on AEWshop.com just for this match. It was that good. I loved how these guys paid homage to their mentors on the part of Jungle Boy. No, not Jungle Boy, excuse me. On the part of Sammy Guevara doing the Walls of Jericho and Darby Allin doing the Scorpion Deathlock, paying homage to their mentors being Chris Jericho and Sting, respectively. That was a beautiful, beautiful nuance that added so many layers to this matchup and to this program overall, because you guys gotta read between the lines here. The four pillars thing, and it's been a very let's say controversial program, and I'll get to that in a second. I'll elaborate in a second what I mean by that. But if you read between the lines, this four pillars match makes so much sense because this is Double or Nothing. This is the first pay-per-view AEW ever put on. And the first four guys that have been representing AEW from the jump have been Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, MJF, and Darby Allin. And here they are 4 years later in the main event of Double or Nothing. The pay-per-view, the marquee event that began it all, so to speak, for AEW, notwithstanding All In, of course, that happened before AEW was even a thing. But, this is a homage to the four young studs who have been touted as to being the bearers for AEW for many years to come. This was their moment. This was them getting their flowers, let's just say. But with that said, the Four Pillars program, as it has been, hasn't done any favors for Jungle Boy. That's the first thing. Jungle Boy has been badly exposed in this angle. I gotta say, it had a lot of promise in the very first angle they did, MJF's Bar Mitzvah. Jungle Boy was fantastic in that angle. Pie facing him, throwing him into the cake and all that good stuff. The promos they cut were good. But then as the weeks went on and Jungle Boy tried to cut similar promos, it wasn't working. He has this energy like he doesn't even want to be there. And I don't know if that's just part of his personality. Maybe he should have Orange Cassidy's gimmick, maybe. The slacker that's kind of like he loves what he does, but he just doesn't really care that much, as far as cutting promos. And I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but Jungle Boy, his whole vibe is just off. And he's been really exposed in this Four Pillars thing. And Darby Allin has been the standout. He's been the standout. But at the same time, even though Darby Allin has been the one cutting the best promos, and I really feel like, in a way, Darby Allin should have just had a one-on-one rematch with MJF for the title, because he's been the standout here. But with that said, Darby Allin's promos have all been very, copy and paste, like he's been saying the same thing every week. And then Sammy Guevara, he's also kind of been exposed because the way they booked him like a tweener for this program, like an in-between. Sometimes he's a babyface, sometimes he's a heel. Make up your mind. And when he tries to be a babyface, the fans automatically turn on him because nobody wants Sammy Guevara to be a babyface. Although I think that's probably gonna change. I don't know. They've everybody knows now. They've announced, Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello, they're having a baby, and major congrats to them. That's a beautiful thing. They say when you have a baby, it changes you, and I think it shows in this match because Sammy Guevara put on the performance of a lifetime. This dude was all over the place like a pinball in a pinball machine. Flying everywhere, doing, shooting star presses, and he even paid homage to Eddie Guerrero and did a frog splash. I didn't like that. I don't want to see Sammy paying homage to Eddie, bro. Keep Eddie's name out your mouth. But nah, man, Sammy Guevara, big ups. He really shined in this match. Holy shit, his performance was out of control. This kid he's a young stud, man. Man, I wish I was young again. That's all I gotta say. When I see Sammy Guevara do the things he did in this match, I can't help but just wish I could have my youth back. Like I'm old as fuck. But nah, man, MJF, Sammy, they really stood out in this match. Of course, Darby and Jungle Boy came in clutch. This was a fantastic match. That one camera shot when they were all each in a submission hold, you know what I mean? Simultaneously in the middle of the ring. And the camera did this one angle where it panned out from the top. Man, that was beautiful, man. I got the chills, bro. You got the 4 pillars of AEW, man. The 4 young studs in the center of the ring, all vying for the title, fighting their hearts out. This is professional wrestling. This right here is professional wrestling. This is what I want to see. Not no unsanctioned matches with Jericho and Adam Cole and Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal challenging for the tag straps and Karen fucking Jarrett and, and all that stuff. This is what I want to see. No fucking 20-man battle royals, whatever. I don't want to see that. This is what I want to see. This pay-per-view has been a tale of 2 cities, man. One city being pretty much the entirety of the first half of the pay-per-view, and the second city being this 4 pillars match, which wasn't even the main event. I don't know how this was not the main event. Makes absolute no sense to me. I don't know if maybe because, again, MJF wasn't going to drop the title, so they didn't want it to close the show. They want to send the fans home happy. I get that. That's booking 101. I get that, but this should have closed the show, man. I don't even need to explain nothing. This should have closed the show. When you got a match this good, the fans are going to go home happy. It don't matter who wins at that point. This was a damn good match. One thing I want to talk about before I move on to the main event, let's talk about Jungle Boy, because he's had some controversy lately. Obviously, the All In show going down in Wembley. Apparently, a story surfaced last week that Jungle Boy was in the UK for a Q&A session, question and answer, and he was on the panel. And British fans have reported that he had an attitude problem. Like he again, just like the way his character, like the way he cuts promos, it seemed like he didn't want to be there. And in fact, he didn't, because a fan asked him something about the UK and this and that and how he likes it there in the UK. And he said, I don't. And I'm never going to come back here again. Or I don't want to ever come back here again after All In, or something along those lines. And then also a fan asked Jungle Boy, hey, what do I gotta do to get into this business? How can I become a professional wrestler like yourself? And Jungle Boy said, don't do it. Like just weird ass attitude problems that he had. And what's up with that? And there's speculation that maybe that's why they booked, Roosh to beat the brakes off of him in that one match they had on Dynamite last week. Where Jungle Boy literally almost got killed when Roosh did a belly-to-belly suplex off the apron. It wasn't Roosh's fault. Jungle Boy did not rotate all the way. He barely missed his fucking neck on the pavement, man. He barely missed it by like a hair, because he did not rotate all the way. So I don't know if that's the case. I think it's just Roosh getting himself over, and rightfully so, because come on, man, Roosh is doing the job for cats like Jungle Boy and whoever else. He should be pushed strong. In fact, I think Roosh should have been the one to win the international title, but that's just me, especially after that performance. Dude, come on, he had a match of the year candidate with Bryan Danielson. It's not the first time Roosh whoops some ass. They know what he could do. They know what he's got. And he knows what he can do and what he's got. And that's why he's going to get himself over in matches like that with Jungle Boy. So I don't even think that was punishment. I just think, Tony Khan ain't gonna book matches like that. He ain't like Vince McMahon. You know, he's not gonna punish guys by having them get buried on live TV. He's not that kind of guy. That was just Roosh saying, man, I could beat the fuck out of Jungle Boy in a real life fight, and they're really gonna have me job to him? Nah, I'm gonna get my shit in, dog. I'm gonna get my heat, and I'm gonna put myself over because I can, and there ain't a damn thing nobody can do about it. Then again, I guess there is something they could do about it because he was left off of this pay-per-view. Even though they had a fucking 21-man battle royal, he was left off the pay-per-view. Anyway, the Four Pillars match, guys. Match of the year, probably, most likely, perhaps. For AEW anyway. Match of the year so far already. Roosh Bryan Danielson it comes close. That's a nominee, but I think this is gonna take it. This was a fantastic match. 2 thumbs all the way up, even though this pay-per-view has been pretty mediocre, man. You know, it's been pretty... That's putting it kindly, to be quite honest. I'm being generous by saying it like that. That this pay-per-view has been pretty mediocre. That's being generous. MJF. What's next for MJF? That's the ultimate question. I mean, it's like I alluded to earlier on in the pod. I mean, at this point, they might as well have Orange Cassidy step up to the plate and book him in a match with MJF because they're booking him super strong. You know, they had Super Cena back in the days in the mid 2000s. They might as well have Super Cassidy and have him, try to vie for the title against MJF. I gotta tell you, the major question that I have is who is going to be the one that eventually takes the title off of MJF? Because right now, as it stands, I got to be honest, they're really, truly, I mean, MJF will say this in his promos, but it's the truth. There really isn't anybody on MJF's level in AEW, bro. There really isn't. CM Punk, not even. That CM Punk is old. He's kind of past his prime, and who knows how he's gonna be received whenever he comes back. Probably on that Collision show. It's highly speculated. He's gonna be the star of that show. So, who is gonna eventually take the title off of MJF? I think it would have been nice if we could have a full circle moment, and it would have been Wardlow to be the one to dethrone MJF, former henchman there, but Wardlow, he's got a lot to do to bring himself back up to the level that he once was. He obviously he's still rocking the TNT strap, retained his title tonight, and I don't know. I have no earthly idea who is gonna be the one that ultimately takes the title off of MJF in the end. That's actually more interesting to me than anything else going on in AEW, is whoever takes the title off of MJF. That's gonna be interesting, whoever they go with. I suppose it could be Ricky Starks. I suppose if they push him again and bring him back, elevate him yet again. He's still a young cat. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. That championship bout in a 4-way, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe a Jade Cargill match was actually at one point the match of the night for me. And then now a 4-way match is match of the year for me so far already. I could tell you right now. I've never looked at a 4-way match in that type of esteem before. So big ups, man. All 4 of these guys, they left it all in the ring. And that was a fantastic match. That is professional wrestling. And now with that said, let's move on to the main event. Blackpool Combat Club, the Elite, Anarchy in the Arena. The main event of the dais. I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin, man. The commentators happened to be sitting out in ringside, and they proclaimed that this was the first time in AEW's history that they were seated at ringside, which that's odd to me because I could have sworn I've seen them sitting ringside before, or at least some commentator, maybe the Spanish commentators or somebody sitting there at ringside before. But nonetheless, the point is, these guys are commentators, analysts, announcers, and they're paid to call the matches. They're paid to sit there, watch the matches, and call them. Dream job, by the way. Absolute tremendous job to have. But they couldn't even follow this match. Excalibur, even though he talks a million miles per hour, Taz and JR, Tony Schiavone, legends of commentating and wrestling, I couldn't. Actually, I don't even know if JR was out there anymore. I don't even remember if he was still out there for this match, but they couldn't follow this match. There's no damn way I could follow it. So I'm not going to get into all the intricate details of this carnage. But this was a lot of fun. That's the first thing I want to get out. Because I've just been complaining nonstop. I've been bitching nonstop. Besides the Jade Cargill match and, of course, the Four Pillars World Heavyweight Championship bout, which I still believe should have closed the show, especially considering the finish of this match, which is not going to send the fans home happy either way. But now I'm hearing that the reason this closed out the show is because the carnage it would leave. They don't want to have the main event, in a ring that's destroyed. The ring wasn't destroyed. It was dirty. There was stuff all over the place, but that's why you have the ring crew clean that shit up before the next match. That's what they get paid to do. It's not hard. Dude, CM Punk and MJF had that crazy dog collar match where they were bleeding all over the place, and it, that wasn't the main event. But anyway, let's start with the entrances. Actually, let's go ahead and start there, because there is actually some controversy with the Blackpool Combat Club entrance theme, because the band performed it live. Violent Idols, the name of the band. The Elite had their standard entrance, with Kansas, Carry On My Wayward Son, and they did their thing, normal, business as usual. But the BCC had a live performance from Violent Idols, who are not the original writers and performers of that particular song. That's a classic song that goes way back in the day. But it's been covered by many bands. They're just one of many bands to cover that song. And it's funny because actually, I think Tony Khan he bought the rights to like 3 different versions of that song as well. I don't know if that's by accident or if that was on purpose, to lease those songs for the entrance of Jon Moxley. But nonetheless, the lead singer of the band, he got controversy on Twitter. I did see that, for having blackface. Apparently, he was wearing a mask. It was an all black mask. But what messed it up for him is I don't think it's the fact that he came out in an all black mask. I think what messed it up is that the fucking singer drew lips on the mask, bro. like bright red lips on the mask. And I think if he didn't do that, if those lips weren't on that mask, there would be no controversy at all. And by the way, let me just say, I do not think that this band and the lead singer, I do not think he's racist. I don't think he had any racist intents with this getup. I just think he has a very, very poor sense of situational awareness and a poor sense of fashion as well, because that look is just not appealing any way you slice it. I get it if wearing a mask is his gimmick, maybe. I don't know this band. I never seen this band before in my life prior to AEW. They seem like really good guys, by the way, because I did go onto their Twitter page as well to see if they remarked on this controversy. And they did. They gave explanations and they said, we're not for racism at all. That was not the intention of my mask and my wardrobe, blah, blah, blah. They made their peace. But yeah, I just think this was just a case of this fucking guy not having any situational awareness. He's probably completely clueless. He doesn't get it. Like, come on, bro. That's not a good look. It's very off-putting. The black mask is one thing, but then you're gonna draw big ass lips on it. Come on, bro. Have some situational awareness. Be aware, bro. That's gonna rub some people the wrong way. I mean, it rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm not even black, but it rubbed me the wrong way because it's just ugly. He looked dumb as hell. It's off-putting. But let's start there. So, Blackpool Combat Club, of course, when they made their entrance, all hell broke loose. They were fighting all over the stands. I mean, one of the Bucks, I don't know if it was Nick or Matt, they grabbed some dude's replica AEW title belt and he was waving it around. I thought that popped me really, really hard. I thought that was really funny. Another thing that popped me was when I think Bryan Danielson, I don't know who it was that grinded Ryan Danielson down the rail. It looked so hilarious, man, like a high school fight, like some big dude slamming some kid on a table and then grinding him across the table, like that's how that looked. It was so funny. I don't remember who did that to Bryan Danielson. And it's good to see Bryan Danielson in action. I feel like it's been a while since I've actually seen Bryan Danielson perform. And he looks so happy, man. That's one thing. That's another takeaway from this. I gotta say, like when the match was over, which I'll get to in a second, after the finish and everything, Bryan Danielson just was smiling from ear to ear, dog. He looks so happy and so pleased with the work he's doing in AEW. So, take that, all the AEW haters who say, oh, Bryan Danielson, look at him, he made the wrong decision. He's doing all this nonsense, but he looks fucking happy. Personally, he looks really, really happy. So you love to see it. That just that put a smile on my face. Just seeing Bryan Danielson with a big smile on his. At some point in the match, the fight broke out into the concession stands in the arena. I mean, people were going crazy. It was Claudio Castagnoli, and I don't know if it was one of the Bucks or I honestly don't remember. This was all over the place. I mean, there was another camera cut to a fucking pickup truck in the parking lot where another two guys were fighting in the back of the pickup truck and one got slammed and everything. I don't even remember. I don't remember who's who. This match was absolute chaos and I'm here for it. I enjoyed it for what it is. And I'm not even a fan of that hardcore stuff, but I enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun. The band kept playing Wild Thing on repeat, just the same exact way they did it for the other Anarchy in the arena match last year or the year before, where they played it on the sound system on repeat, until Jericho, cut the wire, you know what I mean? So the song could stop. Only this time the live band was playing it and then the Bucks super kicked the lead singer. And I gotta say, the lead singer, even though he has a very questionable fashion sense, and definitely questionable sense of situational awareness. Get a clue, guy. But I gotta say, he was really good here. He was really good. The way he took the super kick and the way he fell back, it looked like a movie. Like when somebody gets shot in a movie and they slowly fall back, it looks like in slow motion. That's how that fool looked. Like he was falling in slow motion. It was perfect. And even one of his band members, I think his bass player, started laughing, dude. Either his bass player or his guitarist, they were fucking laughing. It was so funny, man. It was really good. Really, really good. I enjoyed this, I gotta say. And again, I'm not even big on these type of matches, with all the props and all the chaos, but it was fun. It was really fun. I'm not going to nitpick this match at all because this is the kind of match where you just, you turn your brain off. You suspend your disbelief and, with the music playing and everybody going crazy, it was fun. It was a fun match. The crowd, now I can see a little bit where the criticism has been coming from for the crowd as far as, the audience being kind of lackluster, being kind of no showing any energy, no selling. I could see that. The thing is, guys, with AEW pay-per-views, they're really stacked and fully loaded pay-per-views. They're very tiring events. I obviously I wasn't even there live. I just barely finished watching a replay of the show, and I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted just from watching the replay. I can only imagine being there live for these long pay-per-views and sitting through all these garbage matches that unfortunately appeared on this pay-per-view card in particular. Because again, besides the Four Pillars match, besides the Jade Cargill match, and besides the main event, those three matches there, besides those three matches, this pay-per-view was not good. This was a thumbs down pay-per-view. And I'm glad I didn't pay for it. I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, anybody listening that's like, oh, what a cheap-ass motherfucker. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, bro, I've spent so much of my hard-earned money on AEW, bro. I have AEW trading cards. I subscribe to the AEW crate that I get every few months. I mean, I've bought in so many t-shirts. I bought coffee mugs. I have a Christian Cage coffee mug and a All Elite Wrestling coffee mug. I've bought in DVDs. I've gone to the shows, and the shows that I haven't gone to, I've seen in theaters. So get the fuck out of here, man. I support AEW a lot. I didn't order this pay-per-view because I'm actually kind of going through a financial slump right now, because after tax season, let's just say tax season did a number on me. Y'all thought that Jungle Boy got his ass whooped by Roosh. That's how the tax man whooped my ass. Exactly the way Roosh beat the brakes off of Jungle Boy. That's what the tax man did to me. So that's why I didn't order the pay-per-view. I would have, but I'm trying to save money right now because tax season really hurt Papa. But man, I'm glad I didn't pay for it though. Even if I did have the money, if I paid for it, I would have been upset. Because I'm not gonna spend $50 for just 3 matches. You see what I'm saying? Like I see apologists online like, oh, anybody complaining, you got your money's worth. You seen chaos in the main event. The Four Pillars match was a classic, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, bro. But I'm not gonna spend $50 on just 3 matches. You know what I mean? This ain't a boxing event where you're watching a legitimate fight. You're watching a legitimate sport. It's not boxing. This is a simulated sport. So I'm not gonna fork out $50 for just 3 good matches. The whole card better be a fucking banger if you're gonna get $50 out of me. You feel me? And I did not get that from Double or Nothing. This was a 3-match card essentially, because every other match beyond that was not good. And I gave reasons reacting to each match. I do commend everybody, the staff, the cameraman, the audio engineers, Tony Khan, and I commend them for their efforts. These type of shows are not easy to produce. I get that. I'm just a nerd with a podcast and giving my thoughts, but to actually do this type of work is tough. And I commend all of them for their efforts. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. I'll never forget the dud on the exploding barbed wire match, not exploding with Eddie Kingston and not Eddie Kingston, John Moxley and Kenny Omega, and the exploding barbed wire death match dud. I would have been pissed off if I was there live. Just to see sparklers pop off in the main event. I see that every 4th of July, bro. But, nah, man, this Anarchy in the Arena match, like I said, very, very fun. I'm not going to say it was a good match. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it was a fun match, because that's what it was. It was a lot of fun. In the end, the Blackpool Combat Club reigned supreme by way of Takeshita Konosuke I can't say his name. Konosuke Takeshita coming in clutch, man. He was the masked man that came out and caused shenanigans, leading the Blackpool Combat Club. Why did Wheeler Yuta get the pin, though? Why did Wheeler Yuta get the win here? That's what I want. I don't see like it's stuff like that. I don't understand Tony Khan's fascination with like guys like Orange Cassidy, guys like Wheeler Yuta, um, guys like Dan Hassan. Like when he has studs like Will Hobbs, you feel me, and Andrade and Roosh and Brian Cage to a lesser extent, Big Bill. Like he has bona fide studs that look like they could kill a man with their bare hands. But instead, Tony Khan has a boner for Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia and Kyle O'Reilly and cats like that. I just don't get that, bro. I don't get that at all. Maybe he's living vicariously through these guys. Maybe Tony Khan wanted to be a wrestler, and obviously he didn't become one. He became a booker instead, a promoter. And so he's living vicariously through these dorks. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, though. Blackpool Combat Club, they take the win. Hopefully this rivalry is done and we can move on. I think Kenny Omega should be singles. I don't think he should be involved in multi-man matches anymore. He should be big in the singles division. I know there has been reports that Kenny Omega is still pretty banged up, even though he had taken an extended time off to heal and go through surgery and different things. If he wasn't ready to come back, he shouldn't have came back. I'ma just put it like that, point blank. You know what I mean? Kenny Omega is sorely needed in the singles division right now, especially after the Four Pillars match with MJF. Who the hell is next for MJF? See, if Kenny Omega was in the singles division, he's working baby right now. He's a baby face. So he's perfect. He would be a perfect next contender for MJF. But I don't see how that can happen when he just lost this big match and he's involved with the Elite in the trios division. So that's just another example of AEW's current woes. But we'll have to see what happens, guys. AEW Dynamite popping off tomorrow as of this recording. It's 11:34 p.m. I got to take my ass to bed so I could go to work tomorrow. And yeah, I'll definitely be back to talk about Dynamite, see how that goes, and AEW Double or Nothing in closing. I'm not going to give this show a thumbs down, but I'm not going to give this show a thumbs up. For this type of show, I would have to give it a number rating. I don't usually do that. I usually do either it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but this show is tricky because the bulk of the pay-per-view was not good. But for the good matches that it did have, they were fucking really, really good. So it's difficult for me to just flat out say, oh, AEW Double or Nothing was a thumbs down. It's difficult because I don't want to take nothing away from the Anarchy in the Arena, the Four Pillars match, Jade Cargill and Chris Statlander having her big moment, her big return. I don't want to take nothing away from them. So if I have to give this a rating, I would say this pay-per-view was like a 6. Like a 6, man. A 6 out of 10. So because everything was pretty mediocre except for the 3 matches that I mentioned. And if I paid for it, I would want a refund though. Just because I'm broke as fuck. Hey. Guys, don't forget to tip your waitresses. Please tip your Lyft drivers. And as I always say, I'm messing up my own tagline here to close the show. And as I always say, live life on cruise control. Because sometimes you get farther when you take it slow. I'm out.